Hello everyone, I'm Inverse and this is Build Order Breakdowns Volkswagen Sniper MG. Today we're going to be looking at a game from South Langres. Game's going to be against Marines, and before we get started I just want to apologize in advance for any sniffling, sneezing, coughing, or any such sounds I'll be making during this cast. I am recovering from a cold, but I did really want to get another cast out. It's been about 2 weeks since I recorded the previous parts, so bear with me. I apologize. I'll try to move the mic away from my mouth if I do have to sniffle or sneeze or anything like that, so I try not to blast your eardrums with nonsensical noise. Anyways, let's get this game started. Just want to go over a little bit about this map. Of course, the other Langres part went in a lot more depth than I'm going to go into this time. I don't really want to repeat myself too much. I am going to say that a lot of Wehrmacht players, a lot of people in general think, or at least they are of the opinion that the south side is the best side for Wehrmacht on this map. I personally disagree. I personally dislike the south side in comparison to the north side. You can kind of see if you go back and watch the Sunday night fight that I casted between Siberian Platoon and Aimstrong, how this strategy can kind of be picked apart from the south with a 4 engineer barracks start. I unfortunately don't have many replays of me playing this strat against a 4 engineer barracks start. I will get some from some other players, and I will try to get some from my own gameplay. I think I have one from Stursdorf, and I know I have a few from some other players that I'll be doing once I'm done all my replay analysis on the individual maps and starting positions. So I will get some games, and I will kind of talk about how you can deal with that strategy a little bit more generally. But until I get those games and until I get to that part of the guide, I'm just going to be focusing on the games that I get. Anyways, the reason I like the north better than the south is just it's a lot easier to hold this right hand side. From the south, it's a lot more difficult to defend this side as well as this side. Your opponent can also come in from here, and he can harass this munitions point a heck of a lot. A good American player is not going to let you hold this munitions point for very long, especially early game. Late game, it's a bit more difficult for an American player because vetted Grens and Pumas and all that stuff makes the Wehrmacht player a bit more mobile and a bit more able to exert force on multiple parts of the map. Early game, it's more about, hey, where can I force myself to gain map control? Right side? That seems like the best idea. Alright, I'm going to go right side. Late game, it's a bit more different. As you can see, the rifle squad coming in here, going to cap that point, not going to let me take it. I personally don't like, most of the time, to do anything about this rifle squad. A lot of players and some players, and it's definitely a viable thing to do, sending squads over to this left hand side to force this squad off, because of course your opponent's investing a squad over here, which is capping, which means he's going to have one less squad over here. He's not going to attack you with 2 rifle squads right off the bat, because of course one squad is capping right here. Instead, I prefer personally to secure my hold on the right hand side a little bit more strongly. You see, I did lay some wire here, or some sandbags rather, and I'm going to put wire on the other side. I'm also going to wire off in a second the opposite side of this green cover right here, just to give me a bit more staying power on this side of the map. Also laying some mines. Mines very important early game on this map, especially these starting positions. I like, with my first 25 munitions, to either lay a mine right here where I laid this one, or to lay a mine right around here or right around here. These are common areas that the American player is going to flank you in if he goes for a very aggressive start. Now, of course, there's I'd say 3 different responses, 3 or 4 different responses an American player can take to the strategy that I'm doing. Of course, the Volkswagen Sniper MG. He can go heavy bar play, which is of course super aggressive. It's also super risky because if he doesn't succeed with his first flank or 2, he's going to be very far behind. He's going to have a really tough time coming back and having a successful mid game, because he spent all that tech and all that resources and all that time on early game power, and that early game power didn't exactly pay off. Secondly, there is of course the 3 rifle weapon support option, which is very useful and very powerful. However, if the counter snipe misses, which it is adept to doing, I think that's the right word, I don't know, I'm tired guys, I'm sorry. If the counter snipe misses, which is definitely possible, just given the fact that, I'm going to pause it, given the fact that if you keep your sniper moving after every shot, there's only a 50% chance of getting a hit on a counter snipe and getting a kill on a counter snipe. The third option, which we're going to see in this game, is I think we're going to see... No, we're not going to see. This is a different replay. I watched a bunch of replays trying to pick a good one for this map, and I was thinking of a different game. So we're not going to see this one, which is a Jeep, an early Jeep. Early Jeeps can be very, very difficult to deal with and also very, very easy to deal with. If you play extremely safe and correctly with mines and grenadiers and your MG supporting your sniper, a Jeep should never, ever, ever, ever kill your sniper. Ever. If you make a mistake, your opponent can kill your sniper with a Jeep. Otherwise, it should never, ever happen. And the last one, of course, is just a standard fast M8, which we will see in this game, so I will not dwell on that right now. Instead, let's look at this little engagement. We are going to see why mines are so incredibly awesome. See, this one squad flanking is or one squad retreating rather, is very, very good for me, because that means he's going to have less squads in here. I'm going to be on even footing for the entirety of this engagement. I also have my sniper now, my MG coming up. This one mine doing extremely well. This Pioneer in this building just trying to prevent the Flamer from getting in there. At this point with my sniper, it's not too big of a deal if the Flamer gets in there, but it's just an annoyance, and it's not something I really want to deal with two low health Volk squads really nearby, or really close rather. If he got like one good flame off, got a lucky crit, he could have killed a lot of men, especially because a Flamer is area of effect. Also see me getting up to tier 2. Marines is doing the very, very popular VP, no, not VP, yeah, VP, wow, VP rush, VP focused play early game. This is very, very tough to deal with, I'd say, on this with this strategy, especially on this map, because the VPs are so spread out and so far away from where you want to focus, especially from the south. This is another reason why I really don't like the south as Wehrmacht for this strategy, because if we look at the tactical map right now, from the north, this strat point this VP rather, extremely easy to hold. From the south, however, you want to be on this right hand side. You want it because you have the 2 fuel points, you have a lot of munitions that are easily held because they're all close to each other. This is very, very far away. It's also pretty far away in comparison to the north from your HQ sector, meaning it's difficult to retake this point and to defend harassment on this point, which is what makes a VP heavy focused early game super, super powerful against Wehrmacht, just because this strat relies on getting you into the mid and late game in a favorable position with the American player low on manpower and not getting much veterancy, and being forced to counter your tier 1 tech with a higher tech. That's the main strength and main draw of this strategy, and the VP pressure kind of takes advantage of that, because the early game for the Volkswagen Sniper MG is not strong in terms of map control. It's strong in terms of manpower drain. So if my opponent runs around harassing, it's very, very difficult for me to get that manpower drain, and it's very, very difficult for me to set up for a solid mid and late game, especially when that mid and late game will be shortened thanks to the VPs, because if I don't cap the VPs, of course I'm going to lose. Now, I'm going to start this up again, and just note something very, 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 very important. These 2 squads came out, they did not get reinforced. 3-man and a 2-man squad. He retreated those squads from over here. They were part of this flank. He retreated them, and then he brought them on the field without reinforcement. That's an enormous tell. 100% of the time, it tells you exactly what your opponent is doing, and it tells you that your opponent is not going for any sort of infantry upgrade play. So no bars, almost certainly no grenades. It's either going to be a weapon support center, which is unlikely, because you still want infantry, because you need infantry to support your sniper, which means you would still want to reinforce. And the weapon support center building itself is not very expensive, so you can still afford to reinforce. What that tells me is I need to be prepared for a fast M8. Because when your opponent is teching, and when your opponent is getting up to a higher tech and getting up to a higher level, and not investing in units or in attacking, he is not going to reinforce. Now I see right here, not reinforcing again, sending out 3 3-man squads and some engineers. if he were going for some sort of infantry heavy play, he would have reinforced those squads because he would have been spending his resources on those infantry because he'd be investing in his infantry for the mid and late game. If he's not reinforcing his infantry, it means he's spending his resources on something else. He has resources, if he's not spending them on anything else, to reinforce those squads. Common sense dictates if he were a competent player, which, you know, anyone above level 8 is going to reinforce squads if they have resources and they're not doing anything else with the resources. Marines, of course, a competent player. If he were going for an infantry heavy focus, he would be reinforcing those squads. He wouldn't send out 3 3-man rifle squads, because why would you send out 3 3-man rifle squads if you can send out 3 6-man rifle squads 30 seconds later? And the reason being is he doesn't have the resources for that because he's spending them on something else. That something else would, of course, logically be tech, and that tech almost 100% of the time, given the map control and given the timing of the tech and the timing of the game right now, be a M8 and a motor pool. So I, of course, will react accordingly. Going to get a pack as soon as I can afford it. I think I should be getting a pack. Build the pack. I'm going to go Gren first. Why did I go Gren first? Thinking. I'm stumped. Haha. Okay. I played this game like 3 days ago, and I'm pretty comfortable in recreating my thought process, but not entirely so. I am going to say the reason for this Gren first is because if you look at my munitions right now, you look at my income and you look at my banked munitions, I am going to have enough for a Panzerschreck the moment my Gren hits, or at least a few seconds after my Gren hits. That is perfectly acceptable for defending and deflecting a fast M8, at least initially. The Panzerschreck combined with mines, which, do I have any mines? I do not have any mines right now. Excuse me. Oh, no, see, there we go. Canceled. Okay. Whew. Deep breath. I'm like, am I really going crazy right now? Okay, so I canceled the Gren because I realized, hey, he's attacking with unreinforced squads, so you know he's attacking, which means I need to be prepared for that M8 sooner rather than later, which means I can sacrifice infantry strength in order to get that M8 defense out quicker. Now, Marines is doing something smart against Volkswagen Sniper MG. Even when you force retreats, forcing retreats isn't enough. You need to cap territory, at least decap territory. Capping territory, not entirely necessary. Of course, it's good to have territory, but decapping far more necessary, far more useful. You see the M8 out right there. My pack also hits just about at the same time. And this M8 going to do a decent job, not going to do an amazing job. This was actually really dumb. It's like, hey, I'm going to plant a mine right in front of the M8, and he's not going to notice anything. And instead, I'm going to lose my Pioneer. But yeah, I'm going to speed things up a little bit. Speed things up. Lost the Pioneer. Now, I don't have the best map control right now. And while that may be the case, it's not an enormous deal. It's not the end of the world in terms of, hey, if I don't cap the map, I'm going to lose. It's nothing like that at all. Nothing like that at all. This strategy, you don't really need map control. You need munitions. You want munitions. That's why I'm capping this munitions point right here. Of course, that's also to deny my opponent those munitions. I'm going to cap this munitions. I'm also going to want to cap this munitions. It's a little bit more difficult because it's so spread out from my front. But at this point, I'm feeling fairly comfortable. I was able to successfully deflect the fast M8. My opponent's fast M8 really hasn't done that much. He's also going for bar tech. And the bar tech is going to instantly prompt me to get tier 3 up. You see tier 3 right there. Reason being is he's not investing further in vehicles. He's not doing something crazy like just spamming M8s or going M8 and then going tank depot right afterwards, something like that. He's not doing anything like that. He went bars, and my assumption is after bars he is going to go weapon support center, or at least continue pressuring me with infantry, because that is what many American players will do. That is the common reaction. After a fast M8 fails, The thought process, the American player's thought process is, hey, I forced my opponent into Tier 2. What's good against Tier 2? Lots of rifle upgrades, weapon support center. What am I going to get? I'm going to get lots of rifle upgrades, and I'm going to get a weapon support center. That's kind of the thought process for many American players in this matchup right now, given the current metagame and given how players are playing things out. With that in mind, I am going to be going for the fast Tier 3 tech. Of course, the reasoning for this I've explained in many videos. I personally feel Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 to be the strongest Wehrmacht option, at least at this point. Straight Tier 2 spam, weak against heavy sniper play and good rifle micro. Of course, you want Tier 2 against Tier 4 play, and you want heavy Tier 2 against heavy Tier 4 because you want to force your opponent to make a decision between investing in more tanks and investing in counters for your infantry. Yada. Big flank coming in. Still have an M8 on the left-hand side. And despite my correct reading of Marine's tech, you notice he's still able to push me off. And the reason he's still able to push me off is because, hey, what am I doing right now? Am I investing in what did I lose? Oh, I lost a Grant. See, that really sucks. But you have to ask yourself, what am I investing in right now? Am I investing in more units to do damage to him? Or am I investing in tech, meaning I'm not going to have as many units as my opponent right now, but in the future I will have stronger, more efficient, and more useful units. See, right now I had spent the 240 manpower, 35 fuel, I think it's 45 fuel actually, I can't remember, on the Sturm Armory, and am just now reaping the benefits of that Sturm Armory. Just now do I have a Puma on the field, and I'm finally going to be able to force my opponent back and actually regain some map control. This is the moment in the game when the Wehrmacht player is the most strong and the most able to exert pressure and regain map control from his opponent. At this point in the game, I am no longer focusing on tech. I'm going to be getting 2 Pumas out. I'm going to be getting a second Puma as soon as possible. And I'm going to be getting a Krieg Barracks up, which is a slight tech, but it's not really a heavy tech investment. It's only 100 manpower, which is negligible in terms of tech investments. Now, I got lucky there. Very lucky. Slightly, at least. Of course, keeping in mind the fact that every sniper has a 50% chance to hit another sniper on a counter snipe when the sniper being shot at is moving. So it's kind of a calculated risk. I get lucky with a few counter snipes for the rest of the game, but I won't really dwell on those since I don't really want to focus on the minuscule micro aspects of this game too much. You do see I am finally being able to secure a bit more map control and get a bit of stability in terms of my map control. You see, I have the 1 Puma. I'm going to be getting a second Puma soon, right after my Comcraft Center. And I'm just trying to push up and use my Pumas and get as much damage out of my Pumas as possible. My opponent being very passive, which is a little bit suspicious. Might be some sort of tech, might be something like that. I do know now that he is airborne, which means I'm going to want to be extremely defensive with my sniper. I'm going to want to be very careful with my sniper. When your opponent is airborne and he's shown recon run and he has a sniper on the field, you want to be really careful with your sniper. Keep him back. I should actually back him up a little bit more than I am right now, but keep him back. Keep him away from your front, because if your opponent can sneak a sniper close enough and get a hit on a recon run, you're in a lot of trouble. Because of course you're going to lose that sniper. Now is my second. No, I'm going to start that soon. Start it soon. Aside from that, it turns into a pretty standard Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 against airborne play kind of game. I'm going to want to get veterancy, at least vet 2 as quickly as possible, just to defend against strafe, and because my opponent is not really going to have heavy artillery to counter my heavy infantry play at this point in the game. I can also safely get Nebelwerfers because my opponent is going to have to spend a bombing run in order to kill those. He won't have artillery. He won't have on map, definitely. And it's going to be a lot more difficult for him to kill a Nebelwerfer. And aside from that, the rest of the game is just me pushing up, poking up a little bit, teensy tiny bit. My opponent will actually go for tier 4 eventually, so I'm just going to skip ahead because this aspect of the game is not really the aspect of the game that I want to focus on too much. Just kind of getting my veterancy up, getting my Pumas, getting a Nebelwerfer. Of course, want to attack ground on this AT gun. You're going to see I'm going to do that in a second. Kill the AT gun. VP's getting a little bit low for me, but that's okay. I'm in a pretty good spot right now. I have the map control I want. I forced a lot of retreats, dealt a lot of manpower damage. My sniper is still alive. I haven't had to rebuild that. It's got 31 kills. Very, very, very nice bonus. Of course, you can't afford to rebuild a sniper mid and late game with this strategy, but if you don't have to, hey, that's an extra Gren, that's an extra Puma, that's an extra unit on the field. There we go. We see the tier 4 right now. And I'm going to pause and just go over what I'm planning on doing with my resource distribution right now and what my mentality is at this point in the game. I have one Puma. I mean, no. I have 2 Pumas. I have 1 pack is what I meant to say. I have 1 pack. I have 1 Gren right now because I lost 1 Gren, which is an unfortunate situation. I would want 2 Grens, both of them with Panzerschrecks at this point in the game. I have only 1 at this point. I'm going to build a second pack. And the reason for this is, hey, tier 4. Excuse me. Tier 4. Which means Shermans, which means I'm going to want more anti-tank. If I don't have anti-tank, hey, what am I going to be able to do? Not much. Because the Shermans just kind of pick me apart. And my late game's going to kind of crumble under the strength of the Shermans. Now, my main goal against the Shermans is to delay and gain map control. A Sherman is an extremely expensive investment, especially after the other investments that my opponent has spent resources and time on, being the weapon support center and the motor pool before that, all the infantry upgrades. So with that in mind, I'm assuming, hey, I have a stronger fighting force than my opponent. If I play correctly, my 2 Pumas, all my infantry, my Nebelwerfers, my MGs, all that stuff, I am going to have a superior infantry force to my opponent. Which means I am able to spread my opponent out, spread my units out, and in turn spread my opponent out, and cap a lot of the map back. You see, I have the middle of the map recapped a lot. I'm going to try to cap this point back here. I'm also going to spread out and cap over here. I'm going to spread out my Pumas. I'm going to put a Puma on the left and a Puma on the right, and the reason for that is he only has 1 Sherman. He might build a second, but I'm not going to assume he is. I'm going to force him to either build a second Sherman rather, or give up a side of the map in order to regain another side of the map with his Sherman. So that's the reasoning behind me splitting up my Pumas at this point. I am, as you see, not getting a second. I'm going to speed this up. The reasoning behind me not getting the second pack at this point was the fact that I have a ton of munitions in the bank and I only have 1 Grenadier. At this point in the game, I really want 2 Grenadiers. And I want 2 Grenadiers more than I want 2 packs at this point, because 2 Shreks are going to do more to delay than 2 packs, especially against 2 Shermans. 1 pack is not ideal, but given the fact that I lost my 1 Grenadier and I haven't gotten a free one yet, I'm actually going to get a free one very, very soon. But I have not gotten a free Gren yet. That was unfortunate for Marines. Little too close for the sniper, but there we go. I do have another Gren, and I'm going to want to get a lot of Panzerschrecks. See, getting a Panzerschreck on both of those squads. And now I'm going to be investing in a second pack. You see, it's going to come up in a second. Second pack. Second pack. Come on. Am I lying? I'm not lying to you guys. There we go. Second pack. Okay. And when that second pack comes out, I feel completely safe against anything my opponent can possibly do. He has 2 Shermans. I'm going to have 2 packs, 3 Grens, all with Panzerschrecks. I killed his sniper, which means my sniper now is free reign. I have almost entire map control. I am going to move up on the left-hand side with my Puma, just see what damage I can do. I don't necessarily expect to kill much, because I'm assuming with 2 rifle squads on the left, he's going to be sending a Sherman. So I want to be a little bit defensive with this Puma, but at the same time, I want to get some damage done. Of course, already forcing a retreat on 1 squad, which is very, very good. I do see this Sherman coming, so I'm going to want to relocate my pack. Oh, man. Wow, that was a bad voice crack. Jesus. Oh, my God. Oh, pause this game. Oh, my goodness. What in God's name just happened? Okay, guys. How about we just blame that one on me being sick and move on with our lives, because that was embarrassing. And I do not want to relive that voice crack any longer. So we're just going to see one last little blitz with the Shermans. At this point, with my map control and with my unit composition against my opponent's unit composition, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for my opponent to do much of anything at this point in the game. I actually accidentally built this mortar. I wasn't meaning to build that mortar. I meant to build a second pack, but I built a mortar instead because I'm stupid. But yeah. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Gonna watch 2 Shermans die. And that's gonna be the game. Alright, guys. Little bit of a shorter episode. Or a shorter part rather, tends to be how it goes though for the second starting location on a map. Just not as much to talk about since I've already gone over a lot of the basics on the north side video. If you haven't seen that, I strongly recommend you watch the north side video. I'll go a lot more in depth on how I like to play this map just in general in terms of positioning and where to focus my attention, focus my resources, focus my units. But yeah, aside from that, the next map will probably be Simois. I only do this strategy from South Simois, so there will only be 1 Simois part. After that, I believe I'll do Stursdorf. I'll try to find that 4 Engineer Barracks start game on Stursdorf. But again, apologies for being sick. Apologies if I seemed a little out of it. I don't feel like I really communicated very well in this episode, so I'm sorry. But that's kind of how it goes when I'm sick, and I really wanted to record an episode, so that's kind of what we get. Next episode should be a lot better. I should be a lot more into things and excited and screaming and jumping off bridges and eating babies and all that crazy, awesome, wild stuff. But, yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Of course, check out my stream, twitch.tv/InverseTV. I stream almost daily with commentary, do a lot of Volkswagen Sniper MG, a lot of other stuff, a lot of American games. Been working on some new US versus PE builds that are very, very interesting that I will be doing build order breakdown videos on in the near future. So come to my stream if you want to get a little bit of a sneak preview at some stuff like that. Of course, check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/InverseTV if you're into that kind of stuff. Follow me, rather subscribe to me on YouTube if you like what I do. It really, really helps. And thank you for watching. See you guys next time.